Hello and welcome to the Incursion Podcast, your weekly podcast all about indie games. We bring you the indie games news that you might care about, I guess. If you're listening to an indie games podcast, you probably do. And we talk about some indie games over on Kickstarter. And more recently, we are going to switch the random question to kind of just a popular topic of the week in video games, just to kind of keep everything about indie games and less about Josh's genitals. Today, I am, as always, joined by the big Josh boy, and we have Arrow back on the podcast. Whoop, whoop. How you guys doing?
It's been 84 years.
Yes, it has been 84 years. I am an old man.
Is that... Wait, what? 84 years? I'm lost. What reference is this?
I don't know.
Some meme.
Oh, okay.
I'm not like big into meme culture, so I probably don't understand it. My friends say I'm catching up.
I don't know what it is like specifically a reference to, but I just see an image with an old lady that says it's been 84 years. A lot.
Jeez.
Okay. All right.
No, it's been a hot minute.
Well, we're all old men, clearly. Anyway.
What have you guys been playing this week? Let's start off with Josh. Have you been playing anything super cool?
I have. It is super cool. So I've been playing Risk of Rain 2. Risk of Rain 2 was basically dropped out of nowhere for the Gearbox, their like live event. They were like, hey, Risk of Rain 2, we're helping them publish it, and it's out now in early access. And I was like, oh my god, must play. So I've been a big fan since Risk of Rain 1, but it was a 2D game, it was a roguelike, and the game is pretty much the same from the style of it, but now it's 3D. The actual online system to it works without having to do a crazy stupid connection program like Hamachi that's not through Steam. It's got the same thing that you would love if you played the original, which is basically, it's kind of like a looter shooter, but a roguelike of you go through. You have these different characters who all have certain abilities, and as you're playing, each of the enemies, when you defeat certain bosses, they'll drop loot. When you kill enemies, you get gold, so you can buy chests or drones that are by, which will help you either get that specific skill, so you'll get things like higher attack speed or chance to block incoming damage. Those are like obviously the basic ones, and then they get crazier and crazier, and there's weird ones where it's like, whenever you heal, like you shoot red skulls that will attack people. Sometimes when you kill enemies, it'll turn them into ghosts and they'll help fight you. So there's a lot of interesting little relics and skills that you can get, but each world, like each time you play, each run is random. So it's always going to go through the same kind of list of worlds, but the actual loot that you pick up and the character that you choose and what, skills that you need for it will change each time, so it's all very random, but it's a lot of fun, and it's very fast-paced because basically it's a struggle between saying, do I want to take my time in each level and get all of the upgrades, or do I want to go quicker because the clock is ticking, where constantly every minute in the game gets harder, so the enemies will become harder as you basically waste time. So you want to speed through as much as you can, but pick up as much as you can. It's very fun, it's very fast and action-packed, and the fact that you can play it with 3 other people is awesome to me, because it's basically been me and my buddies every night. We've been coming home and basically getting on and being like, all right, let's play Risk of Rain. And it's good because it's like it could be anywhere from, depending on how good you are, a 30-minute to longer play sessions, but it just depends on chance and sometimes, if you're actually skilled at the game. But it's a lot of fun.
And what have you been playing, Arrow?
I've been playing. Well, I haven't been playing that much indie stuff, just because a lot of them come out this month for some reason.
Yeah, that's SteamWorld Quest.
Get ready for the tidal wave.
Well, because I was at. What was it, 2 weeks ago now? I played like a handful of indies over at a GDC.
You're cool.
Including the upcoming, well, I didn't play it, but I got to preview it, the upcoming Moonlighter DLC.
Ooh.
So I've been checking out the companion update from a while ago, just playing a lot of Moonlighter on the indie side of things. And then I just finished Devil May Cry 5 and started Sekiro, so that's fun.
How many times have you died? Have you kept count? Is it a lot?
In Sekiro, like, I'm still at the very beginning, so maybe like 5.
Ooh,
oh, nice.
A fucking pro.
Have you guys ever watched the show on AMC called Into the Badlands?
Yeah, I love that. I need to... Season 3 just went up on Netflix. I need to start.
Yeah, you should do the opposite of when. So like when a Clipper gets kills, they mark it with a tattoo. When you die, you should get a tattoo.
Oh,
Oh god.
the whole body will be covered.
It would really revolutionize this gaming experience for you.
No, but the thing, Sekiro, it offers you a lot more mobility, but you have, as a trade-off to that, you have a lot less health.
In comparison to what?
In comparison to, like, Bloodborne and Dark Souls.
Okay.
Because, like, Dark Souls, you can be pretty slow because of the armor.
Is there... okay, so I know that in Sekiro, you can get... you get different like upgrades for your prosthetic arm and stuff like that, but you don't get any new armor or weapons, correct? You just use the one sword?
I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not super far, so I'm like I just got the first prosthetic tool, so I'll let you know, I guess. But yeah, indie games, Moonlighter is just so great, especially on Switch.
I absolutely love Moonlighter. It's fantastic.
Still
So
gotta
the the games that I've been playing, I have not been playing much. Just like you guys, sadly, I've got a lot on my plate right now. The only game I've been playing really at all was I decided to get back into Dragon Age Inquisition. And to be honest, I mean, I love the series and I love the game, but there's a lot about that game that annoys the shit out of me, like the quest structure with a lot of side quests. They're basically just all fetch quests. They made the, like, so each little map is like a sandbox map, and they're like, okay, now we have to, like, populate it with cool NPCs and side quests. And that just makes it to where it's like, okay, you could have just made a smaller map and done less side quests and it would have felt less tedious, but whatever. I love this series and I love that game. It's just kind of annoying. Other than that, I mean, this has nothing to do with me playing any games, but I did just buy some cool stuff on Yeti last night. They're having, like, they call it the spicy sale, where you can get like up to 50% off different items. So I bought this cool, like, I bought like all tribute game stuff. So I bought the thing I really wanted to talk about was a fig pin that I bought from it's a flint hook fig pin, and yeah, the one that has the detachable hook that's it has like the chain attached to it. It's very, very cool. I really like it.
Very cool.
Yeah, so anybody...
And how long is this sale going on?
Okay, so yeah, I was going to say something about that. I don't know if it's going to last until the end of this week, but I think it is. I'm not 100% sure, but...
Because I'm definitely not looking right now.
You should pick some stuff up on there. I mean, I purchased my stuff last night and it shipped this morning and it's supposed to come to me with like in a week. I'm very excited. I picked up all the stuff I picked up was from Tribute Games. They have a lot of their stuff on sale from like Mercenary Kings and Flint Hook and stuff like that. And then other notable games, if you guys are fans of Starbound, they have a bunch of different like Starbound stuff on there. It's very cool. I was very excited to see that there was some sales. But I think it's about time that we get into the news, the main crux of this podcast. Our first article today, and guess what? I realized I totally messed this up. So before the podcast, we talked about how Josh could talk about Risk of Rain, and we could just go right into the news story. But I had Josh go first, and the Risk of Rain news story is second. And yeah, so it'll be fun. The first news story is over on IGN. It is written by Brandon Tyrell, and it is Dead Cells free Rise of the Giants update is for the fans. So we have actually talked about this update, I think 2 or 3 times on the podcast before. They initially announced it, then they put out a really cool animated trailer that I liked a lot. And now the update is finally out on Steam and is slowly rolling out to consoles, but it brings a lot of really cool content to the game. It includes 2 new areas, 2 new bosses, a new character outfit system with over 50 outfits you can collect by killing and skinning enemies at higher difficulties, 10 new enemy types. You get 10 new weapons, 10 new weapons, like the giant killer, new skills to use, and mutations like the berserker, and new object called the mirror that will help you in hunting down those hidden blueprints. Are you guys excited about this? I didn't get super into Dead Cells just because I'm terrible at video games, but Josh is the get good boy, so I'm assuming he's played a little bit more than me.
Probably. I have to get back into it. There's just so many games, but I definitely want to do this. When this drops, I'll probably end up getting it, but
well, isn't it free?
Yeah. I just meant getting into it, but like there's just so much going on. Like when this comes out, I'm still gonna be playing. Like I'm still playing Yoshi right now. I'm still playing Risk of Rain. I know that in like the end of this month, SteamWorld Quest is coming out. Like I've got my plate pretty full. That I don't know if I'm gonna jump right into this. I also want to check out the Enter the Gungeon stuff that's coming out. Like there's a
Oh, and then Katana Zero is coming out too.
Yeah, like this is what I'm saying. Is like there's just so much stuff. So this will probably be on the back burner for a while. I think it's good though because I haven't been in it for a long time. So when I come back, there's just going to be so much content, which is pretty sweet. But
what do you have Dead Cells on? What do you play it on?
I play it on PC,
the Nintendo
of course.
Switch. Oh, you play it on PC?
PC.
Oh. I was going to say the nice little caveat to it is if you play it on consoles, it's not out for you yet. It's slowly rolling out to you.
No,
but
I have it right now, and I should be playing it.
I play it on PS4.
There you go. Errol won't have to worry about it. He's got a while, I guess. It seems like they don't have a specific date of when this update is going to come to consoles, but rest assured, you're going to be able to skin people, so that's cool, I guess.
That's what Errol wants. I've heard it before. That's what he loves.
Skinning people?
Yeah.
No comment.
See, no comment. He says nothing. Clearly, he is guilty.
So I think it's about time we move on to our next news story. This is, once again, over on that good old IGN. It is written by Tom Marks, and it is, like I said, Risk of Rain 2 surprise launches on Steam, published by Gearbox.
Ooh, baby.
Gearbox announced that it had partnered with Risk of Rain developer, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that doesn't really matter. I don't know why they needed to add that update. They literally just said that in the article. The sequel to it. So basically, the big points of this is that Risk of Rain 2 is a thing, and it is in 3D. We pretty much already kind of talked about all of it. It is in Steam Early Access, states the core loop, multiplayer. I just want to know when it comes to consoles. Does it say that anywhere in the article? I don't think it does.
I haven't heard anything on that as far as when it would come out. But it probably... I'm assuming that this is going to be early access exclusive to PC.
Yeah. I wasn't talking about... I realized that was a dumb question to ask when it was coming to consoles because it's literally just in early access.
Yeah, and they've slated... I believe it was they have about a year that they're saying this will be in early access for. So probably not anytime soon. The cool thing about when this did first drop, which I didn't mention but is in this article, which doesn't help anyone who didn't get it before, but one of the cool things they did was they had Risk of Rain 2 where it's $20 to pick it up, but for like the first 4 or 3 days that it was out, it was like, oh, buy one get one free. So it was pretty cool because I ended up doing that and just getting it for $10. I don't know if they have any plans to do that again, like when they actually fully release it. Probably not, but it was a pretty cool thing that they did just for those who were like paying attention.
Buy one get one free on what? Like you could buy Risk of Rain 2 and get one for free, or
you would buy Risk of Rain 2 and you would get a second copy to give to a friend.
Oh, okay, yeah. It does say that near the bottom. Yeah, while Risk of Rain 2 is currently $20, if you buy a copy before March 30th, you will get an additional one for free, allowing you to gift it to a friend for co-op.
Yeah,
so that is pretty dope.
Yeah, which is super smart because this game, like, you can play it as a single-player person game. Like, it'll work and it's kind of fine, but it's just like, it's not as good of an experience if you don't have multiple people with you. Like, it's really, I think it's meant to be played with, a multitude of a team trying to go through here. Because some of it, like at the end levels, the end part of it gets pretty crazy, and there's just mobs of enemies.
The thing I like most about Risk of Rain 2 is this is a big departure from just the first game entirely. It seems like a lot of the gameplay loop will be pretty much the same, but them changing it to 3D and it's no longer like pixel art style, it looks like it's working really well. It looks very, very cool, and I like that a lot, even though I would prefer pixel art. 2D pixel art is my favorite, but it still looks fantastic. Anybody that's worried about this game not like kind of living up to the visuals of the first game, yeah, they'll be pleasantly surprised with Risk of Rain 2. Are you excited for Risk of Rain 2, Arrow? Did you play the first one at all? Nope. All right, cool. Thank you.
You don't know what you're missing out, man. They're good games.
Speaking of not knowing what you're missing out on, I have not played this game, so this segue kind of makes sense. Over on Polygon, our next article is written by Owen S. Good, and it is Zany, gory throwback Super Bowl hockey. Super Blood hockey, sorry,
Super
not
Bowl.
Super Bowl. Yeah, it was
Super Bowl hockey.
Yeah, Zany,
like
gory
hitting
throwback
footballs?
Super Blood Hockey is coming to consoles. The next sports game coming to the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, puts player in the roles of a hockey coach who may recruit players from prison, utilize performance-enhancing drugs, pull the plug on injured... What the fuck? Jesus. Pull the plug on injured teammates and use other underhanded tactics to succeed. Suffice to say, Super Blood Hockey is not a licensed video game. No shit. They would literally... Okay, I'm just... That was an unnecessary joke to make. The console port, blah, blah, blah. That's not what I care about. It looks like the console version is coming to the Switch in April, and Xbox One and PS4 will be coming sometime in Q2 2019. The PC version also just had a franchise mode PC version just got a franchise mode that the console editions will have too. That's a little weird that you put it that way. I'm assuming it would, considering they're coming out later, but okay. This game looks pretty awesome. I really like its graphic style. It's interesting. It reminds me of Blitz, but pixelated and hockey. Yeah. So you're just doing drugs like on the sidelines, just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do a bunch of steroids before I go and kill somebody on the ice.
It looks so strange. I think it's weird that there's like a four player mode, which seems kind of counterintuitive since it's like hockey is a two team game, but it's basically just an all out brawl in some of these. Like watching the actual trailer for it, it's funny how it's like there's no rules and like half of it is like not them playing hockey at all and just like the entire team like fighting each other.
I mean, that's what hockey usually turns into at the end. Right?
I fucking wish. No, it never does. It's so depressing.
Yeah,
I've gone to like
do that anymore.
I've gone to so many hockey games just hoping to see a sweet ass fight, and generally they just flick off their gloves, punch somebody's helmet, and then they get put in a box. And I'm like, fuck you guys.
Yep.
That was stupid. I wanted to see some bare knuckle brawls on the freaking ice, but instead...
Came for blood.
Yeah, basically. It's like, hey, we no longer have the Coliseum. I now want to watch people kill each other on the ice. Is that too much to ask? Jeez. You're literally wearing blades on your feet, guys. Get over yourselves.
Oh, that took a turn.
Are you guys going to pick this up when it eventually comes to all sorts of... just a plethora of consoles? I mean, It does come out in April, so it comes out this month. It's like, hey, guys.
So
I don't know.
Probably not.
Yeah, right. There's so many games coming out this month. I'm so excited, like you said, for Katana Zero. That looks great. SteamWorld Quest. Damn. Any game coming out this month is kind of going to be like shortchanged by all these other sweet games. Really sucks for them.
A little bit, yeah. Sorry, Super Blood Hockey. Maybe next time. I don't know. I mean, I can't believe this has been out for like, what, it said like 2017? I never knew about this. I feel like I would have played it back in the day. Like, it looks pretty fun.
Yeah, it looks weird as hell. It's got a weird concept for a game, and that's pretty awesome. Speaking of another weird concept, next article... Jesus. Our next article is over on Polygon. It is written by Chris Plant, I'm assuming. Finally, a doctor game that trades medical charts for star charts. This game looks so stupid. Oh my god. I don't understand this game. So basically, the news about this game is that this game was announced. It is a game where instead of actually practicing medicine, you play basically an astronomer who helps people somehow medically by like, I don't know. I honestly don't understand the concept of this game. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, he studies astrology and somehow that helps people. He's like, oh yeah, I cured a plague. How? How is that physically possible? Curing a plague by telling somebody that they're a cancer. I don't understand.
Maybe if you look to the stars, you'd understand.
Maybe. That's so true.
Stop being such a non-believer, all right?
Yeah, so it's supposed to be like a comedy game, which totally makes sense considering this just outrageous premise.
No relevant like truth to it.
Yeah. Astrologaster is what it's actually called. I don't know if I actually even said that yet. Astrologaster is hitting iOS on May 2nd for $4.99. Mac and Windows PC via Steam on May 9th for $9.99.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that part. Why is there a $5 difference because it's not on a phone? Is there like an actual different like aspect to the game, or...
I don't know. Yeah, I was kind of wondering that too. If it's, I mean, you could say, so there's like a price hike for Nintendo Switch games when you buy them physically, supposedly because it costs more money to produce cartridges than discs. But this is an entirely digital game, so I don't understand. Yeah, the price hike doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and it's not like this game is going to be something where that $5 is going to make a difference like graphically when this is like a text-based game, it seems like. And I don't see anything said about like a difference between them. I'd like to hear more about like when this gets closer to, but May isn't that far away. I don't know. It seems weird to me that it's just a $5 difference for nothing.
Are you going to play this, Errol? It's basically like a Monster Tamer, but not at all.
It's definitely not like a Monster Tamer at all.
There's, each sign has a different, there's like a cancer is a crab.
Yeah, there's got to be some monsters.
Don't you want to collect some crabs, Errol?
I don't think anybody wants crabs.
Phrasing. No, not really.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever play this fucking game. It looks so weird.
I don't know. I'm gonna wait until it actually drops to see like what the actual gameplay looks like, because
and what the heck is up with that price difference?
Yeah, that too. I don't understand that. Maybe I'll get it on mobile. Yeah. Oh, but wait, iOS. No, never mind. Nope, can't even do that. They don't have it for Android.
Oh yeah, that's also weird. Just iOS exclusivity
it's only
for
iOS.
the mobile.
I was gonna
version.
say, because I have that sweet Google survey money. I'm at like $4 now. I could have got this game.
All the way up to $4?
I know, man.
Damn.
Giving out all that personal information is really paying off. You know what I'm saying? Take
no
all my
data mining
Google.
required. Yeah, I'll just give it freely. Just give me 5 cents.
Yeah. That's it. Well, 5 cents. It's more like
5
more like
cents.
10 cents. Come on now, get your story straight.
Oh shit! That's 50% more. Do you know what you could do with that? You could not buy this game.
That's what eventually you can though. I'm getting close. You'll see. You'll all see.
I mean, you can't because you're not on iOS. So
you what? Why you gotta ruin my dreams? Why you gotta do this to me?
I think it's a little weird. Okay, the last thing I want to say about this is that the plights of patients rub up against topics like Brexit. How has that come up? This is like way back in the day. This was like Renaissance era time. I don't understand how a topic like Brexit at that point in time, and I understand it's probably just something similar, but I don't understand what would be similar.
That's because you're not a history major.
Well, yeah, I'm not a history major, and I'm not into astrology. So really, this is just not my forte. I just wouldn't understand any of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it's some shit where there were people who complained. It's probably some older rich people back in the day, and there was some people that came in and they didn't like it, and then they're gonna make it Brexit, basically.
Ah, okay. Well, speaking of things in the sky, like stars, get it, guys?
Your transitions are so good.
I know, I'm just so good at them now. We're heading over to Game Informer. This written by Hunter Wolf, and it is the peculiar indie game. Heaven's Vault has a release date. How is it peculiar, by the way?
Yeah, let's talk about this. Errol,
Yeah,
Errol, enlighten us.
you have something to say about this.
So this game, it's very much, I mean, it's styled a lot like a visual novel, but like you're basically this hold on, I'm reading an archaeologist. There we go.
You're plagiarizing yourself, is what you're saying?
Yes. And you're basically trying to find this missing scientist, but at the same time you're discovering all these ruins across planets, and you're trying to translate this ancient language.
Sounds a lot like Atlantis, but in space. Just saying.
Yeah, exactly. And the cool thing is, like, it's always different, and there's no, like, guide. This is a completely made-up language. There's no guide to it. So, like, if you get it right or wrong, like, every player's experience will be different.
That's really cool. I guess I should actually get into the news of this game. I just wanted to know how it was peculiar. Today, the developer Inkle, I guess, announced that you can take a crack at solving its own historical mystery on April 16th on PlayStation 4 and PC. In Heaven's Vault, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the rest of that doesn't matter. Literally, the crux of the news is that one line. That's it. There's no other news in this. But that's really cool. This game sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I played it at GDC last year, and I wasn't sure what to make of it at first, but I was like, okay, I see how that can be cool. The other thing is it's not all, like, just, like, a visual novel thing, because, the character you play as, you're still moving around, and she actually has an exertion meter. So if you're walking around and your exertion meter runs out, she'll be sent back to the ship, and you might want to find, like, a different way around, or, like, to find something else until you can find an easier way to reach the last place you were at, so you don't drain your exertion meter.
So she just gets tired and takes a nap, and you're like, oh, damn it,
yeah,
baby,
pretty much.
Stop napping here.
She doesn't have any, like, superpowers or anything.
Wow. Okay.
How is she getting exhausted so fast?
Clearly, she's not athletic at all. She's very...
No, I don't know if it's that fast. It's just, think about you're, like, exploring a planet, and then
they're like,
you never know that maybe the
gravity on this planet is 20
the
times
gravity,
the Earth's.
oxygen levels. I don't know.
Man, she just should have brought an energy bar with her. That's bad planning.
Does that mean on certain planets that she's like a superhuman? She's just like punching through walls and like killing?
Yeah,
No,
that
I
would be
wish.
great if they had that just like sprinkled in like one random level where it's just this crazy like platformer adventure game, and then it goes back to her being normal. like and no, like nothing gets said about it. It was just like, yeah, it's just how it is.
That's the thing that happened.
That would be sweet. It's time to move on to the second part of this just enthralling podcast, and that is the news Cram section, where we bring you guys a bunch of different indie games news stories that we felt that we couldn't. I mean, I'm trying to find a good way to describe this section. I always kind of make it condescending, like, oh, we didn't want to talk about your game. It's not that. It's just that I don't feel like I can intellectually talk about the game, and even that I don't do with most. So, yeah. That's just a cop-out.
Clearly you're the problem.
So it's time to get into news, Cram.
Cram.
I'm so glad that Errol joined in, too.
He's got it. He was here the first time
I
we
thought I was the one who started that.
Yeah, it was a nice little echo. I was like
Yeah.
jamming out to it, guys. It was great.
Oh, thanks.
So our first story is over on Polygon. It is Frankenstein-inspired The Wanderer is about beauty and a childlike wonder. Also on Polygon. Journey to the Savage Planet is a jaunty exploration of a colorful alien world. Next up, we got over on usgamer.net. Panzer Paladin draws inspiration from 8-bit Black Sheep. like Zelda 2, The Link's Awakening.
I got really confused.
Well, no, not that's
No,
not
The
at all.
Adventure of Link.
Yeah, The Adventure of Link. That's why I got confused myself. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
What did
no,
I
just
say?
reading the title of this, especially not knowing what the game was, I got so confused. I was like, 8-bit Black Sheep, Zelda 2, Adventure of Link, Panzer Paladin, and I was like, there's so many names in this title. I was like so confused. It's about Panzer
Yeah, it
Paladin.
should have been a shorter title, probably.
Panzer Paladin does look
It's a
really
good,
cool,
it's a great read, though.
Yeah, it's a very great read. Yeah, I also really am excited for the game. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Speaking of things I'm excited about, the next one over on News Cram is Hyper Light Drifter TV series in the works from creator Alex. I'm assuming that's meant to be Alex Preston, and Castlevania's Adi Shankar. That is over on Polygon. I'm so excited, guys.
Did they say where it's...
You're excited to see probably a gory anime of frogs and mice killing each other?
I fucking hope so. So it's the reason we didn't actually talk about it, however big of a Hyper Light Drifter fan I am, the fact is this article has very little news in it. It's basically just the announcement of the TV series. They even say in it that they don't know like what they're going to do. They don't even know if people are going to talk in it, because that's a big thing in Hyper Light Drifter, is that nobody speaks. There's no words in the game. It's just entirely up to your interpretation what the story of the world is. So I'm very excited to see how they do this, but they did assure everyone it's going to be cool. So
Did they?
I'm very excited.
Yeah, like they have to do that. Did they say where this is gonna be? Is this like a Netflix series thing?
I would assume it's on Netflix. Castlevania was. I think the Devil May Cry series that Adi Shankar is also working on is on Netflix as well. So I'm assuming Hyper Light Drifter is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I forgot he was doing that.
The Devil May Cry animated series?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
forgot about it too until I saw this, and I was like, oh shit.
Well, cause there's a short anime series of Devil May Cry already, which
It was actually pretty
a bunch
good.
of
I've seen it.
I've heard mixed things about it, and then Devil May Cry itself, while it's not anime, it does use a lot of motion capture, and the people who do the motion capture are usually former Power Rangers actors. Like the three main characters are voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, who was the second Black Ranger, and I forgot the other one's name. Was it Dan Southworth, who was the Quantum Ranger in Time Force, and then Ruben Langdon he wasn't a ranger, but he was a lot of monsters and a lot of like shows like Power Rangers. So I just wonder if they're gonna do like some rotoscoping kind of thing, or if they're just gonna do it like, purely just animation.
Probably depends on their budget.
I'm kind of
Sure, they
interested
have
in this. The article says Preston confirms to Polygon that he and producer Adi Shankar, whose game adaptations includes Netflix's Castlevania and upcoming series based on Devil May Cry and Assassin's Creed. Is that saying that he's also developing an Assassin's Creed series?
Yeah, I wasn't sure
Or
about
is
that
that-
either. I don't know. 'Cause that's definitely...
Oh, I guess actually it
Maybe.
says are actively in development on an animated series based on the title. Okay, yeah, I still don't know. That's still ambiguous, because it seems like it's confirming that, yeah, there's an animated series coming for Hyper Light Drifter, and maybe he also worked on that shitty Assassin's Creed movie, or maybe he's making an animated series about Assassin's Creed.
Guess
I
I'll
bet
have
it
to
was
wait and
the
find
movie.
out. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I bet it was the movie. Our next story in News Cram is over on IGN. It is new Minecraft update removes mentions of Notch. That would be the creator of Minecraft.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it's that guy. IG also over on IGN is Dungeon Defenders Awaken. Yeah, I did read that correctly. I'm having some issues.
Yeah.
Dungeon Defenders Awakened hits funding goal on Kickstarter. Over on Game Informer, we've got Hob coming to Switch, Torchlight 2 coming to consoles. That was just a weird way to do that.
Torchlight 2.
A Hob. I actually really like Hob. It's my PlayStation theme. I'm not even joking. It's a good game. It's a lot of fun.
Should I actually get
okay.
it? What is it? Oh, the different opinions. I don't know.
sh-
I was just
Freaking Arrow, dude.
okay.
It's okay for a Zelda clone.
A Zelda clone. Okay.
It's not a no. It's very heavily inspired by Zelda, but like it's good. I didn't like it that much, but that's just me.
I just like the big robot arm. It's really cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Basically, you lose like a little bit of spoilers. You lose your arm like 5 seconds into the game, and a robot gives you his arm, and it's really cool. I really liked it because I just like people with big arms, I guess. Our next story in News Cram. Oh, by the way, I just remembered I need to say this. So last week, I think either on the podcast or off the podcast, I told Josh about how Podcast Beyond now does a segment similar to this, but it's I thought it was
no, you did. That was on.
Yeah, I thought it was called News Cram. It is actually News Crunch, so don't worry. Yeah.
Okay.
Did not.
So they
copy
eat their
us.
news instead.
Yeah. It's not. Don't worry about it. So over on Game Informer,
We'll let it slide this time.
I know, just gonna have to go after Jonathan Dornbush, dude.
You'll be hearing from our lawyers that we don't have.
Whoa, man! They don't need to know that we don't have them yet.
Yeah, you're giving away all our secrets. Jeez.
We clearly have lawyers. Get out of here.
So our next story is over on Game Informer. It is, you'll want to sell your soul to the devil for these Cuphead construction sets.
I don't know about that.
It looks so
they
good.
Are pretty cool looking.
Didn't you say they were sold out already?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I looked at like all of them, and
I bet you, what's her face? Lily Zaldivar of GameSpot, who's like the biggest Cuphead fan ever, probably just bought all of them.
You're telling me that she's a bigger fan than Boss Baby Barrett Courtney? Come on, dude. What's up?
Yeah, I think she's a bigger fan than Boss Baby Barrett.
I feel like everybody just needs to do the Boss Baby thing from now on because it really seems to bother him, and it's kind of hilarious. Our next story is over on Game Informer. It is a new Pathological 2 trailer announces a May 23rd release. Then we got over on Twinfinite. Yooka-Laylee gets an N64 style under Make Under. Yes, Make Under. What is my issue, dude?
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I have the same issue every week. Just reading aloud it's my Achilles heel, among other things. Yeah, it's a 64-bit freaking downgrade, so it looks ugly. It
looks terrible. What were they thinking? There's a reason why.
You turned into the angry video game nerd? What were they thinking?
No, I mean, come on now. There's a reason why tech upgraded and we kept moving with it. Like, no one asked for this. Or maybe they did. I don't know. I didn't ask for this.
Hey, man, haven't you ever played, like, those humans in GoldenEye? They totally still hold up.
Oh, yeah, they sure do. I love fighting.
They obviously do.
Like,
they were ported into
boxes.
Spider-Man, dude. Haven't you seen them?
I don't know.
Get your head out of your ass, guys.
Look, the point is, it looks ugly as fuck. I tried to watch it, and I was like, this hurts my eyes. I was like, I would never play. I would turn this on, and immediately be like, yep, that was great, and then turn it right back off. Like, no way.
The next story in Newsgram is over on Twinfinite. Is Agony sold over 160,000 copies on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and a PlayStation 4 patch releases today. Also on Twinfinite, I don't know how to say this guy's name. Dario Argentino.
Dario Argento.
Oh, okay, there you go. Dreadful Brawn brings the Master of Horror style to Kickstarter. Is he really the Master of Horror? Do you guys know? Did he get that title?
He's very famous in like Italy for his horror films that he creates. So I guess that's where they're going.
Look, the only Master of Horror I know is whoever created the Leprechaun series. Okay.
That's like I've never had somebody bring up the Leprechaun series before. Like you and Ross got really into it for some reason, and I don't know where that even came from.
His name is Roger.
Yes, Roger. You and Roger got way too into the Leprechaun series, apparently. Another one over on Twinfinite, because Twinfinite's got all the juicy stories, is Project Phoenix devs break silence after 8 months gearing up to finish the game. They're gearing up to make the fucking game. That's what they're doing.
Can we just read that quote that you said before?
Okay, I have to dig it out because this is a long article for it being such a dumb premise. It's
Control F.
Control it, yeah.
So let's go down. Blah, blah, blah. There's a whole lot of stuff happening in this article.
Nice. I like that song.
Yeah, it's a very good song. It's copywritten though, so don't steal it. Okay.
Oh, damn it. All right.
Don't even try because I will sue you.
lawyers that you have.
Yeah. Errol did not give away my secrets. I've got lots of lawyers. It's just Parallax's lawyers.
That's true. You're part. Yeah. Let's go.
So part of this article says sometime later this year, those artists are scheduled to start creating world assets. Hopefully by when that work is complete, the programming team will be ready to start doing their part of the development process. Literally making the fucking game. That's what their part is. Art is a very big part as well, but that's their part, guys. It also says Creative Intelligent Arts is currently cultivating the programming team. They don't even have one yet. What the fuck? How is this game gearing up to be finished? The game is it even started?
Gearing up to be started, but they didn't want to say
you
that.
gotta start to finish, you know?
Well, I guess they started because they put out that they have a trailer on their Kickstarter and they have some different they have some different concept art, which I believe they say they now have to revamp because it's outdated. No shit, it's been 8 months. But also, what else are you doing? Like, okay,
Yeah, just chilling on that sweet Kickstarter money.
And the last story in News Cram is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice has a Switch release date. That is on Game Informer. So I think it's about time we move into one of our last segments of the podcast, and that is God Bless the Crowd. This is where Josh goes into all sorts of different Kickstarter, crowdfunding sites, just in general. Most of the time, Kickstarter. It's much easier to operate than others, it seems. And we talk about them. Today's is just it's a gem. It's a
voluptuous
kiss. Oh, that's a good word. And now it's time to make Errol feel uncomfortable. We're going to talk about Subverse. This just looks like my kind of game, guys.
This is this is what episode 2 set us up for.
Yeah, really, it's been a long journey, but we're finally there. So supposedly the premise of this, just the quick little bit that they have on here. Explore a wacky galaxy full of hot alien babes in this kinky new sci-fi RPG mashup.
Ooh, it sounds lovely.
And literally, like, they all have protruding nipples. It's just so easy to see.
So I originally put this because I was like, I saw this game and I didn't really pay too much attention to the random like half naked ladies above, because I was like, it's just for like, you know, like eye candy, like it's to grab people's attention. So I was like, okay, I'll keep going down, and I'm still like seeing some like eye candy stuff, but then the next couple of like videos or like screen grabs are legit looking like a regular, like it looks like kind of like a shmup game, and then it goes into a tactical.
Actually looks like a fucking game.
Yeah, it goes into a tactical RPG. So I'm kind of just focusing on that, and then it goes back to like meeting the random babes in it, and I was like, oh, whatever. It's probably just some like I at no point was I was like, yeah, this is definitely like, there's definitely porn actually in this. And like, I was just like, it just looks like a cool, because it looks like a cool game. It looks like if you took that shit out of it, it would be a legit game.
It's still a legit game, and they aren't babes. They're waifus.
They're waifus.
So
anyway, and then you keep scrling down and it becomes more and more obvious. And I was just like, oh, wait a minute. Oh no, what have I done? I was like,
literally one of them is an illegal sex bot.
Yeah, I'm just like, I just scrolled past them because I didn't care as much about that part. I was just like, let me see the gameplay. But then when you get to the tiers, the actual like stretch goals, I realized how bad it was when I saw the 100,000 euro one, which is additional animations. It says at this point we'll be able to deliver an extra fully animated lewd sequence or two. And I was like, oh, Jesus.
Hey, speaking of tears, I have a couple because this exists.
Oh, that was a good one, Arrow. I wasn't expecting that. Also, are we going to talk about how one of the ships just straight up looks like boobs?
Yeah. It's so funny to me. And what's funny about this to me is I was like, oh, I wonder if they'll hit their goal. They're at fucking 3 times their goal just about now. Like, people really dig this. They hit 382,000. Like, that's crazy.
So let's dive deep into some of these sweet stretch goals. Okay, guys?
Can we not?
No, we definitely have to. It's so hilarious. So the one that Josh pointed out is the one that they're getting pretty freaking close to, guys. How much do they have right now? They have, nope, they're already past it. I don't know, what? They have $383,025. Their goal was $131,381. And it's still got 27 days left. In less than 3 days, they've made this much money.
That's what was crazy, too, is I saw this when it first, started back on the 30-day countdown. And it was already basically at its goal. Like, this thing hit immediately.
Just give the people what they want, dude.
This is what the people asked for, man. They want them
this
waifu.
Just proves it. So, yeah, wait. There was a stretch goal to get a squid girl in the game? Yeah, 125,000.
Yeah.
Squid girl.
Squid girl, she's coming. Oh, baby. I didn't even know about this. I'll have to back now. Squid girl's in it.
Oh, my God. Tentacle girls. Okay, so yeah, there's the bit that's 300,000, which is... Yep. It is alongside our interactive sex sequences. We will provide 1 to 2 minute vignettes of each of waifus doing something lewd to cap off. Okay, isn't it lewd enough to have a sex sequence in your game? You also have to have
more.
this 1 to
You
2
need
minute
more.
vignette. I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I like how they just have that 400,000, which is just additional animations. It's even more. You're like, hey...
Just keep it coming.
Just in case the literal porn in the game wasn't enough, you also get these additional animations.
So, one of the craziest things about this is I didn't even realize until even later that this is a legit company that, they specialize in making animated, videos like this. So this is what they do, but then they just decided, hey, we want to make a video game. And the reason why, I have to find it. The reason why, damn it, where is it? Yeah, okay, so Studio FAO has an impeccable crowdfunding track record, having solidified ourselves in the top 25 global creators list on Patreon before they decided to ban us for having a werewolf eat out a girl's butthole. This is literally in their Kickstarter.
Oh.
I love how uncomfortable Errol is right now.
You picked a good episode to come back on, Errol.
I'm not uncomfortable. I am more like, why does this have to exist?
Dude, yeah, I showed it to
This is what the people want, Errol. That's what it's got to exist.
I bet you it has a bunch of bad pickaxe animations.
I don't even give a shit, dude. It's got sex animations. I bet those
really
are pretty fucking bad too.
Yeah.
I showed this to my wife. She's like, what are you gonna talk about on the podcast this time? And I was like, I found this game, and she's like, oh my god. She's like, what is that? And she was so grossed out by it. She's like, are they gonna make it? And I was like, yeah, they were already hit three times their goal. She's like, people are disgusting, and she just walked away.
She's like, people are disgusting, and she goes under a Steam wish list, and she's like, add it to the cart.
She's like, what's the highest tier I can get?
Yeah, your wife was the last one who got the $750 or the $985. Yeah, the space whale one. Design a love scene of your choice with an in-game waifu. Well, I'm glad it's at least with them. Jeez.
Yeah, it's just them. They get to be a character. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a character in this game. I
love the $230 tier, the Studio 69 VIP. Exclusive yeah. Studio 69 DLC for your subversive game. It's a thing.
It is a thing. Oh, it's quite a game it's gonna rear up to be, and it'll be there because it's already backed.
Do you think IGN will be forced to review it?
I hope so. I can't wait to see what they give it. I hope they give it 10 waifus out of 10.
I'm not even joking. I actually hope that big sites like GameSpot, IGN, just all sorts of sites actually review this game. And that would be hilarious if it somehow was amazing and it was contending for Game of the Year.
This is what I'm saying, though, is like, I feel like it would be a legit game to play. It seems interesting that it's that shmup that goes into tactical RPG. I feel like I would be down to play that game, but there's no way I'm ever going to buy this because of the waifu shit.
Okay, so there's a part of it where it says, discover side quests and complete them for loot purchase, upgrades, and awesome stuff for your ship, like nudie magazines.
I love and hate this at the same time.
What the fuck? Kamikaze laser dick ships? What is happening in this game?
Oh, damn.
I wonder if there are any werewolves eating buttholes in this.
Maybe.
Obviously not, dude. They're trying not to repeat the past. They're trying not to get kicked off Kickstarter as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Wow. I don't know. Apparently Kickstarter is okay with this.
Yeah. They obviously don't care.
I noticed, though, it's not one of the tagged games or projects that we love.
That's bullshit. Why. Yeah, dude. That's total horseshit. They obviously deserve it. They have reached this astronomical goal in 3 days.
Yeah, but Kickstarter doesn't love it.
Yeah, they've made their amount goal every day that this has been out. And just imagine how much money this fucking game is going to make. It's outrageous.
So many animations.
Jesus. I'm going to need a break after this. God. This is a thing. So now I think it's about time for us to move on to something not waifu based. Our random question of the day.
I can find another one for us.
I mean, little does Errol know, our random question of the day is about waifus. So.
Oh fuck!
No.
He just exits. He's like, "Sorry, my internet connection went out."
Yeah, right.
I have really bad internet, guys. I'm sorry. So our random question of today was something I wanted to talk about. So I don't know if you guys have read it. I haven't read it like extensively. I've kind of skimmed so far because apparently it's going to take like an hour to read this fucking article. But Jason Schreier put out an article about Anthem's development and kind of how it all came together. And of course there's backlash from like BioWare coming up and being like, oh yeah, and basically their rebuttal to it was not good. That's not really what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the idea that is brought up that should you include, basically should you factor in the way a game was developed into a review score? That has come up recently, mostly because of this. People have talked about how, like, if crunch is an issue in a game's development, if it should be, or just if there was a harsh development of a video game, if you should factor it into the review score. I wanted to know how you guys felt about that. Because, I mean, I'll tell you guys my opinion a little bit later, I guess, maybe. I don't have like a fully fleshed out opinion, but also how do you guys feel about that? Do you think that there should, like, it should be weighted in review scores, or do you think it shouldn't?
That's a hard question.
Yeah, it's a weird question.
Because it's like, well, on one hand, you know, if the game is good, you don't want to give it a bad rating because, you know, that it helps the developers, but also how much does it really help the developers if the company culture is bad, you know?
I don't...
But, like, because the people at the top, as long as they get a good score, like, good reception, they're happy, but then they don't think anything has to change, but then you don't want to be lying about something just because the company... I think it's one of those things where you should always, like, it should at least be... It should just keep being mentioned, and then people will get like, you know what, we need to, like, maybe if you keep mentioning it, It's like, maybe we need to change something because people won't stop mentioning this.
So just the factor of it being annoying.
I feel like it could work. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So I mean, there's a lot of issues with like the whole concept in general, and like what do we do about solving that problem? But I don't think mashing that with the game reviews is going to change anything. I mean, it might help, but I honestly I don't think it's good, because what you're doing is you're giving someone who has an environment that's shitty. So you're saying someone who they're working under harsh conditions, and then you're at the same time also like penalizing them for the harsh conditions they were given. Like, yes, the game represents the company, but the developers and the people who are like working towards that, they're getting attacked. And someone like, you know, a giant company is going to be fine if they have one game that goes bad and then they change their ways. But these developers who are specifically on these projects, who get to say like, hey, I was part of XYZ. If you're saying, oh, well, you're part of these, you know, bad review scored games, or you're part of these games that don't receive well, like it's basically shitting all over their work that they've put so much time into. I don't think it makes sense to keep that as part of something that they get impacted for twice, if that makes sense. Like, they're already getting shit on at work because they have harsh conditions. Why then attack them for the product that they created? Like, at the end of the day, yeah, it's the, you know, the company that is the kind of owner or the household for that game, but it's the people who actually created it, and those are the ones who actually should be getting the credit for the game. So I don't think that's a good way to rate that into perspective. I think it should be more of something where, you know, kind of like what Errol's saying, of like, this is something that needs to be talked about. And I think it's also something that not only we as people need to, you know, be aware of, but also that the people in those seats need to also be able to push back. And that's kind of a shitty way of putting it, because I know there's some people who say like, oh, well, people can't do that because they have to, you know, put food on the table and whatnot. But like, at the end of the day, it really sucks. But if I don't have a good way of providing, and I'm also in such a harsh condition, like, things need to change. That's kind of why, you know, some people are pushing for like the whole, oh, we should have unions in the gaming industry now. I don't know anything about unions. I won't talk one way or another, but I think there's definitely avenues that we should be taking, because clearly things are not working. We've had so many blow-ups from different companies, but I don't think saying that the game itself has to be attacked is the right way to go about it.
Yeah, and when you factor in how you touched on like the people being affected twice kind of a thing, that on a AAA side would be bad, but also on an indie dev side, a lot of indie developers, if it's like a single person working on this game and they put a ridiculous amount of time into this game, and let's say that they come out and they're like, oh yeah, I worked like 100-hour work weeks, but it was entirely of my own volition. Even though that's not technically bad, if you started putting reviews, if you started including these in review scores, it would, to be fair, it would literally have to negatively impact them, even though it was entirely their own choice. Just kind of like, if you were going to be fair about it, if it negatively impact a large company, it also has to negatively impact the small ones, just to be fair across the board, because you don't want to show favoritism, especially in reviews. That's literally the worst place to show favoritism, because then your review's just biased, and what's the point of your review?
Yeah, no,
doesn't really make sense.
That's a really good point, because that distinction isn't... like, people are very weird about that concept of basically the crunch, where when someone's working on that project, like, and this is even just in general, it's not to say it's bad or good, it's kind of bad, where people will they'll put so much time and effort into it, and when it like works out and it's like a one-man team, or like a, you know, a small group of developers, it's seen as like, oh, it's amazing, like, look at what they're doing. Like, Risk of Rain 2 is a good example, not for the crunch part, but for the fact that they have only like 3 developers, I think, and they're creating that game. That's amazing. But if they were to say like, oh, we're so hardworking that we put in all this time, but it's because we're really passionate about the project, it would be seen as something that's positive, versus the other of someone saying, oh, I have to put in, you know, 60 hours, 70 hours, whatever, because I have to do it to get the deadline, it's seen as negative. But they're pretty close things if you think about it. Like, most people who are working on these, even though they're working those hours and they probably don't want to be working that much, these are passion projects. Like, that's why a lot of people get into this industry, is because they generally like what they're doing. It's just framed differently. And to your point, I'm pretty sure if we started doing that, where we rated games based on the process that it was made, they would not be rated on the same scale when it comes to those different concepts of, is it just a passion project or am I being forced to do this?
Yeah, that's very true. I would like to say, when it comes to crunch, of course, they're both, I mean, it is an inherently negative thing, but in some ways it shouldn't be. So when it comes to like how the whole talk about Red Dead 2 came out, and it was like, oh yeah, they worked 100-hour work weeks, kind of a thing. If you should never be forced to work more, you should never be forced to crunch, but if you want to, I don't see any issue with it. Like, if you want to and you're getting paid for it, there shouldn't be a problem with it in my mind. Like, we shouldn't be mad at developers if they wanted to do it, but of course, if they're being forced to, that's a fucked up thing. Mm-hmm. You're not getting like paid overtime or whatever. That's a whole different story. But I mean, yeah,
I'll agree to that to a certain degree. Like, there are people who will put in more than they really can do without thinking about it, and at that point, there's certain, like, it becomes unhealthy with the way they're doing it. So I feel like it's a yes and no kind of a thing. Like, this is a very grayscale kind of topic. Like, there's a lot of factors to think about.
Yeah, that's very true. I truly do not think that the development cycle of a game, the way that the game was developed, should be factored into review scores, because that is not what a review is. The review is of the product itself, not what it was supposed to be, not what you thought it might be, and not how it was made. It is what it is, kind of a thing. That's why I've also not really enjoyed when in reviews they talk about, oh, the game was supposed to be this and now it's this, kind of a thing. Of course, that's kind of hard to get into. You kind of can't. It's kind of impossible to not bring that up in reviews, because it negatively or positively impacts how you feel about the game no matter what, which kind of sucks. But yeah, it's a double-edged sword with that one. But yeah, I really wanted to know your guys' opinion. What do you think, Errol? Do you think they should include it or not?
I mean, like I said earlier, it's just a hard thing to. I agree with you that it's like it like when you're reviewing something, that is like the current state of it, but then that brings up the whole other thing about how, for these live service games with like how reviews in progress work and that kind of stuff. So it's just hard to I mean, there's no definitive answer. It's like basically work conditions probably should be better for some of these bigger companies. Think about the people more than the money, but that's kind of hard because, you need to make money to, all that.
Yeah, that's very true.
I don't know.
You also bringing up the live as a service games reminded me of a point I wanted to make. Is if you actually factored this into review scores. So Anthem came out a month ago, and now it's coming out that this had a very bad review cycle. If you did include, let's say, in a world where we included that stuff in review scores, I mean, if that was something that you did and you kind of like, you had to include it in review scores, everyone would be forced to re-review these games and now give it a more negative or possibly positive score. So it would just kind of like, I don't know, it would be weird. Let's say like this story didn't come out now, and in a year when Anthem's in a much more positive place, this story comes out, all this stuff gets kicked up, and they're like, hey, we have to re-review it now, and they re-review it and give it a super terrible score. It's kind of weird. Yeah, re-reviews would have to be done as well, kind of a thing. It's just odd. I don't really... It's very right what you said, that this is, like, it's a gray kind of an issue, and it's really hard. It doesn't have an answer. That's kind of why I wanted to talk about it, is because it's just weird.
Yeah, it's a good topic to discuss, and hopefully it'll go somewhere. But like I said, it's a very gray area where, like, I feel like there's not going to be a right or wrong answer. We're going to see a bunch more studios where this happens until, you know, they do something like some type of union or some type of, you know, a rule set that they have to abide by. But even then, you'll still get companies who will find a way to loophole things and have it where it's more, you know, those kind of topics are behind closed doors. So it's tough.
Yeah. And I imagine if review scores were changed by the working conditions, I would imagine that if like there were bad, like terrible working conditions, let's say at a place like EA, which it has been reported that during some development cycles, it has been very terrible. You would think that they would go to like really crazy lengths to keep these stories from getting out, which I would assume would much more like it would negatively impact the developers even more than talking about it later.
Well, did you see what they said, what they told the employees after the story came out?
No, what did they say?
They said, according to, I think this was according to either Jason's Twitter or something else, and it said, basically told them, oh, don't talk to the press, which is like, that's not going to help anything, because then they're definitely going to talk to the press.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's kind of funny that they say don't talk to the press, because it's like, you're already kind of like sinking. What else are you trying to keep hidden? That's definitely weird. But I mean, it's not the first time that a studio has like told its employees not to talk to the press. Rockstar, before Red Dead 2 came out, I think they specifically prohibited their employees to talk to the press about their games without like explicit permission. So yeah, that would be weird. This is all just a weird topic. I just thought it would be kind of fun to bring up, see how you guys felt about it. I don't think that it should be included and weighed in review scores, but like you said, it definitely needs to be talked about all the time, and it needs to be like at the forefront of our consciousness as gamers, that it's like, yeah, people make these games and their lives need to be better, kind of a thing. It's, of course, if they want to crunch, if they don't necessarily care, that should be their prerogative. They should be able to do whatever they want. But I mean, that's why I'm just saying I don't think that they should be forced to. But yeah, that was a fun conversation, guys. Thanks for popping in there with me. I don't know where I was going with that. I think that's about the end of the podcast today. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you're still listening, that's just great. That's awesome. If you're listening at all, that's sweet too. If you guys would like to chat with us outside of the show, you can follow me at Hyde Legion on Twitter. You can follow Josh at @the_George90, and you can follow Errol at ErrolM on Twitter. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Wow, there you
sweet.
go.
Boom, dude! I freaking got it. Yes. If anybody else comes on though, I'm not gonna be able to do it. It's not gonna happen. Thank you guys so much for listening. Of course, this is episode number 24 of the Indie Incursion Podcast, your weekly indie games podcast, and that's about it for today. I hope you guys have a fantastic day.
Bye, guys.
Later.